Religion is a really powerful thing because it relies on faith. It relies on believing without evidence. And because we internalize religious belief systems and we hold them so near to us, religion has this amazing capacity to influence the things that we do in our lives. It can influence our behaviors. So when we internalize our religious beliefs, all of those doctrines, all of those explanations about how the world is and why the world is, all of those things that our religions teach us, when we internalize these beliefs, religion can become a really powerful influence on the ways that we live our lives. And we can see that when religion works for us, that influence becomes stronger. So for example, if we pray for some certain outcome in our lives, if we're sick and we pray for health, if we are struggling at work and we pray for the perseverance to continue, if we pray or perform rituals or magic to change something within our lives and then we see that change happen, then that's telling us that religion is working in the way that we've been told it would work. So every time we see that religion works, its influence can become stronger on us, and we believe even more fully that the religion is giving us the proper information. All religions have rules for behavior, just like our non-religious societies do. Religions can tell us what to eat, when to pray. They can tell us what jobs we might have or who we can marry or when we can have children. Religion might tell us the proper ways for men or for women to act within their communities. And this is the same thing of society in general. Our society has rules, things that we are allowed to do and things that we are not allowed to do. When we break society's rules, we call this a crime, and the punishment in the non-religious society would be jail time or fines or some other tangible consequence. But when we break a religion's rules, that's considered a sin, and the consequences for sinning can be more profound in some instances. In many religious belief systems, the consequence for sinning could be your very soul. I mean, many religions believe in the concept of hell. So if you were to break a religious rule, your soul might be in peril. That's a very motivating factor for many, many people. And again, if we believe that religion works in one way, we are more likely to follow the rules in every other way. So when religion works, and we see that the consequences of it not working might be our very soul or our salvation, that means that religion has a lot of power to control the ways that we live our lives. Because of this, religion can also promote fearfulness. If we believe that our souls may be at risk if we commit crimes against our religion, then that will force us to control our behavior, to rein in our behavior, so that it aligns with the behavior of everyone else in the group. And we may become very afraid of behaving in a way that would cause other people to be suspicious of our actions. We can see that the fear of being accused of breaking these religious rules forces us to follow the norms of our religious communities. And we can look to examples in the past of how this fearfulness has really escalated to the point of, almost insanity. For example, witch hunts. Well, witch hunts were popular in Europe for hundreds of years, but we also have examples in the United States. For example, the Salem witch trials, in which dozens of women and men were killed because they were suspected of being witches. And being a witch in these very religious communities was a sin against God. So men and women were burned at the stake, they were hung, they were drowned, out of simple suspicion that these people might not be following social rules. What this fearfulness does is that it communicates very clearly to everyone else in the group, don't do anything that might make it look like you are not following the rules. And so in this way, religion is a leveling mechanism. It reduces differences in the group, and it makes everyone in the group behave in very, very similar ways out of fear of being accused of being slightly different. We might also be able to look for examples in the world that we live in today. where religion influences people's behavior, or where fear of being accused of breaking religious rules could have significant consequences. And it gets pulled into not only the religious realm, but also into the non-religious sector of our lives. For example, abortion. This is a debate that's been going on for decades. Is abortion something that is unethical? Is it immoral because it's a sin against God's creation? Or is it a woman's right to choose what she does with her body? What we can see is that many people who are opposed to a woman's right to choose, many people who are opposed to abortion, are coming at it from a religious perspective. And so in this sense, religious belief would limit a woman's ability to choose what she does with her body. Similarly, homosexuality is an issue that tends to revolve around religious beliefs. In many religious communities, homosexuality is considered a sin. And so not only is there a punishment in the afterlife for being a homosexual or engaging in these behaviors that are not considered to be a part of the religious doctrine, but there can also be a lot of fearfulness about even looking like you might be gay or you might be homosexual. And we can see the consequences of this in ideas of masculinity in our world today. For a lot of men, being very, very masculine is very important, because if you're not very, very masculine, someone might think that you're gay, and according to religious beliefs, that's a sin and your soul could be at risk. So there are consequences for people who aren't even engaging in these behaviors that people would say are sinful. Another example might be racial discrimination. In the United States, racial discrimination has been woven into the fabric of this country from the very beginning, and it's something that we still struggle with today. A lot of people, though, use religion to support their racial intolerance, their racial discrimination, from segregating schools in the 1960s to even allowing biracial or interracial marriages. A lot of people have been opposed to this on the basis of religion. And so people use religious conviction to try to control the actions of not only believers, but of non-believers as well. We can see from these examples that when we buy into religion, when we believe that it works for us, often that has consequences that reach beyond our own beliefs. And religious communities are very good at controlling and influencing the actions of believers. And this is just part and parcel of religion. When we see that it works, we're more likely to let it work in other realms of our life.